Hey, what's going on? This is your boy Tsel. Today we're talking about another example of the best graffiti that was coming out in the 1980s in the city. This particular one we're going to be talking about, once again, this is a photo. You can see it's one of my original photos, probably 110 camera. One of those ones that you can buy cheaply and develop them quickly. So it was always a novice thing for the graffiti writer to get like pictures of their art. And a lot of times what I did is I always took pictures of other people's art because I always thought it was just something to capture for historical moments. And here I am talking about this graffiti piece that was painted by COMET. This is on the west side. It says COMET, C-O-M-E-T, COMET. He was a graffiti writer from, I think, off Chicago Avenue on the west side. This is a remarkable piece for its time. COMET painted this in 1987, I do believe, on the west side, probably off Lake Street. A lot of the murals that were painted on the west side were painted off Lake Street. They had a lot of walls, and a lot of the west side writers kind of stuck to their geographical areas and kind of put a lot of pieces up. A lot of places by their house, so the closer you get to your house, you're able to find walls and right off the line. And this is one example. It's a rooftop piece painted on a brick wall. It looked like COMET did the white wall in the background. You could this little piece of white border here, so he whitewashed it, or whitewalled it, some people could call it. And this is a really, really good piece because of the lettering. I've always admired COMET's letters. He was really, really talented. He was in a graffiti crew called TAC, Taking All City. I think it's written down in here. And what I didn't capture on the right-hand side of the piece, this part right here, this is the CTA train, Chicago Transit Authority train. And the colors are from the west side of the trains that were always there. It was white, blue, and no, white, red, and green. That was the west side colors on the Lake Street line. They had a green line on there, so COMET made sure that he represented the west side when painting this train. And I think what also made it remarkable for a lot of the west side graffiti writers, and what made them stand out amongst other writers in other parts of the city, is this design on the window. If you look real close, I really can't zoom in as much as I can. This is as close as I can zoom in. If I get any closer, it probably wouldn't get focused. See that little line that kind of squiggles on the window of the, I think it's the conductor side. Only west side graffiti writers did this. No other graffiti writers ever did these lines here on whenever they painted trains. And they still do it today. Slang is another perfect example of a graffiti artist that still does these existing lines on the train window. It's just a design. It doesn't stand out any more than that, but I think it's remarkable because it's pretty cool, and nobody ever did that except West Side graffiti writers. This was painted on a rooftop. This is the top of the roof, probably in the side of a wall that continued on. I don't know how high it was, but the train probably came on from this side. The Lake Street train probably came through this end, if I remember. So you were able to see it from the train line. And what I also like about this particular piece is that 3D. A lot of West Side graffiti writers also were really good at doing this particular, to see the black part on the 3D. They were really good at doing that, the little curve part of it, and that's what made him stand out. You could see a lot of it here on COMET's 3D that he painted in pink. I love these colors. These are beautiful colors that a lot of the graffiti writers from the 1980s were using. A lot of baby blues with some pinks in it. And then, of course, we all outlined our graffiti pieces in black. That was kind of the normal thing. People still do it. I still do it. I like using black as an outline. It just makes the piece stand out, and it's kind of a default color to use on your graffiti piece. He really didn't do anything to the background except put a little bit of like bubbles, See some yellow and, I mean, not yellow, but some pink and red as a background in bubbles, and he kind of bordered it a little bit with these blue bubbles right here. And I do believe that Comet is no longer with us. I don't know the year he passed away, but he did this piece, and he also did another piece at the Chicago Graffiti Hall of Fame in 1987. And I think he passed away a little after that. But I'm glad I was able to capture some of his art. It lives on forever, and we're here to talk about it. Just the style. And again, once another thing that kind of stands out for these graffiti writers from the West Side is these arrows. These arrows were unique to graffiti writers on the West Side because of the shape, design, and execution. They always didn't make a lot of the pointy type arrows at the end. They kind of cut them off, as exhibited right here, and right here, and right there, and right there. As you can see, the arrows don't have pointy tips. It kind of cut off. That's what made a lot of these graffiti writers from the West Side stand out. Not to say that other graffiti writers didn't use that. We all kind of influenced each other, especially back then in the early stages of Chicago graffiti. We were trying to look at each other's styles, see how we can learn and develop from what we saw. But this is a beautiful piece, especially the M. I mean, that M kind of curves and got that crooked feel to it. Then that E, that to me, that is a Chicago style E. Nobody in the world has E's like this and can execute them the way the Chicago graffiti artists were able to do it. So, once again, this is an example of early Chicago graffiti art. This was an illegal piece. Was probably painted at 2 or 3 in the morning overnight. Comet might have used a good, a handful of cans, maybe a dozen cans to execute this piece. He obviously needed, different colors for the train, different colors for the piece, and different colors for the 3D, and a little bit for the background. And he did also, which was kind of normal for a lot of graffiti writers back then, is to do these bits and like doodads or elements inside the piece that were in pink. That was really, really popular back in the 80s. And this is probably hot pink, made by Krylon. That was a really, really, it was like a special can of spray paint for the novice graffiti writer. They always wanted to get a hold of that can. Another popular can from Krylon in the early 80s, School Bus Yellow, Cherry Red, Aqua Turquoise, Aqua Pastel. These were colors that everybody wanted to have, and if you ever used it, they would point it out. Oh, look, you used that hot pink from Krylon. I could see it in your piece. So you can always tell when graffiti writers use some of that. There was probably that cherry red right there. Yeah. So this is Comet's piece, painted in 1987 on a Chicago rooftop on the West Side. I hope you like it. If you have any comments, put them in there. This is your boy Tsel1.